That Public Facilities District here on Monday, October 25th at 5:31, it looks like on my computer. And instead of the question that I usually start, I will just recognize that there is a Monday night football game with the Seahawks on, and we will skip on to the approval of minutes. So can I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll move to approve the minutes.
All right.
I'll second Aaron's motion.
All right. Any discussion? Mike, I'll just note that there was an editing thing where John's name was spelled Joe under mid-year budget adjustment for 4C, but minor thing if you just can make that correction.
Okay, I can do that.
All right. Well, within that, then all those in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? All right. The next item on our agenda tonight will be public comment. And so I'd like to invite anybody who is attending who would like to make public comment. We allot 3 minutes for anybody to speak. And so if you would like to speak or make some comment, I see that Pat Hatchell is one of the attendees. There we go.
Yes, I'm just promoting him up.
All right. Thank you. Just raise your hand or put something in the chat with your name on it, and we will identify you and bring you in to be a panelist for a short time. All right. Not seeing anything in the Q&A or in the chat or no hands raised. So I think we can safely presume that no one wants to make a public comment tonight. So we will move on to the next item on our agenda. And before we do that, Pat, do we have you here?
I don't know if I'm in the panel yet.
You're in.
You just showed up. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't see your face, but I see your name and I do hear you.
Yeah, it doesn't look like I'm in the panel, but that's okay too. So if this
All right.
is working, that's fine.
Well,
No,
then
yeah, I see him. He's still in there. So I'll promote him again.
no, don't worry about it because right now we're going to go to executive session. So Mike will stay here and the board members and
Here he is.
Brian will move to executive session.
Do you have the meeting information for them to go to?
Yeah. It just came through.
That is in your email, but we're going to go into executive session as authorized by RCW 4230.110 to evaluate the performance of a public employee. This executive session will end at, it's 5:35 now, 5:45, we will say.
Can someone repeat the meeting number and the passcode? I did not get the email of the executive session data.
Walt, what I'll do is it's in your PFD email as of 10 minutes ago, maybe. And if you don't find it, just call me or I'll call you and we'll get you linked up with the passcode. Okay.
Oh, okay. I'll go check.
Instead of saying it here, because we do want that to be
I got you.
private. All right. We will be back shortly. Welcome back, Brian. We've got everybody.
Recording
here
in
now.
progress.
The recording is going again. We're coming out of executive session and we have a motion to make. Walt, you're muted.
I move that the PFD hire Russ Shiplet as the new executive director and approve the terms of the proposed contract. And his employment would be effective as of November 1st.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All right, any discussion? All right, let's take a vote then. All those in favor of hiring Russ Shiplet as our new executive director, say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. The motion carries. And Mike, would you make Russ, who I believe is an attendee, would you make him a panelist for a moment?
And he is now a panelist.
There he is. Hello, Russ. Hey, can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yep, we're good.
You're right.
Hey, I just want to welcome you as our new executive director starting November 1st. And we're excited for you to be in this position. We're excited to work with you as a board. So welcome to the KPFD, Russ.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your vote of confidence in me. I really can't wait to get started.
All right. Well, we just formally wanted to say welcome, and we're looking forward to working with you. And we'll let you go back to attendee if you want, and
Okay.
watch the rest of this one. But we'll see you in November.
All right. Thank you all.
Welcome, Rose.
Thank you.
All right, we will now move on to item number 5 in our agenda, the facility progress report.
Mike, let me stop. I think you accidentally demoted Pat to attendee and you kept Russ on. Maybe want to bring Pat back and move Russ back to attendee.
Why did you do that, Pat?
And he's back. All right.
All right.
I'm back.
Let's go. There's Russ. Russ, where are you?
All right. Well, let's go on to item number 5 and want to welcome in Carla Boughton and Dan Schoonmaker. And Carla, can you hear me? There you are.
Yes, I can hear you. Can you all
Hello,
hear me?
Dan. And I'll hand over the floor. The floor is yours for your presentation.
Great. Well, thank you, Darren, and thank you, KPFD board, for inviting us for our 3-month check-in with you. Maybe was it 3 or 4 months anyway, our check-in with the board on the Perk project, our status update. I know you got a packet from me via Mike on Friday. So hopefully you had a chance to look at that, but if you didn't, it's fine. And I will be going over, our update. So I do have a PowerPoint and I will be sharing it right now. I want to confirm that you are still, I'm pausing. Happened to me last time. Okay. All right. Can you see my PowerPoint presentation? Great. Thank you. All right. So, this evening, we'll be giving you an update on the Perk, which is the Paulsville Event and Recreation Center. We will be updating the activity from July. So the last update we gave you was in June. So we'll update you from July to October of 2021. And what we'll be summarizing for you is our final market analysis findings, our site concept and space planning and design process we've been going through, a teaser for our draft management plan and our financial analysis preparation. I will speak to you a little bit about a potential land acquisition that the city of Paulsville is pursuing. And then I'll briefly outline the request for amendments to our interlocal agreement, which is the next item on your agenda. So this is a graphic that shows you where we're at in our feasibility study development. As you know, per the ILA and per the direction that the KPFD gave to those of us who were developing a feasibility study, we had 5 components and we requested to be completed. And we are just about done with number 3. So the first one was our community outreach. We had the development of a market analysis, and we've gone through a really great process of our conceptual site and building design with our community steering committee. And then step 4 will be the draft management plan for the preferred alternative of the facility, and then the financial analysis. So we are a little more than halfway done. So what I'd like to present to you right now is the results of the market analysis that was completed by Perk Consulting. As you know, we did hire Perk Consulting to complete the market analysis, and I gave you a report in June about some of the interviews that they've been doing and the demographic assessment, and we talked a little bit about the research that they did on the national regional recreation trends. They looked at similar facilities in Kitsap County as well as in a larger area, what they called a catchment area, which was how long you could drive to a facility. They also spent some time conducting interviews with potential user groups here in the North Kitsap area, stakeholders, and they did a business outreach to our Chamber of Commerce and our Chamber of Commerce members. We had 2 steering committee meetings centered around the market analysis with Perk, and the final report was released July 19th. Here are the findings that the report made, and it is posted on our webpage. And certainly, if you would like a copy emailed to you in a PDF form, we're happy to provide that to the board. So the findings of the market analysis identify that Perk really needs to serve 2 purposes. We need to be able to serve local residents, meaning Poulsbo citizens, as well as North Kitsap, and draw outsider visitors. And you may recall that in our community survey, there was a high desire for an aquatic center, but the market analysis shows that lap pools are a saturated market, with over 40% of the Poulsbo or the North Kitsap population having access to pools on the military bases or other nearby pool facilities like private membership. But a unique pool, or a pool with unique features that speak to the community's identity, could be a destination facility and therefore could be feasible. On the sports fields, you know that we have talked from the very beginning about having tournament soccer fields to be part of the Perk. The market analysis shows that we would need to have at least 4 to 6 fields to support regional tournaments. And preferably they would be on one site, although we do have, as you know, Strawberry Fields. We have 2 fields in Poulsbo, so perhaps another 2 to 4 on a separate site would be combined could be a feasible tournament component. And then the third piece of the Perk, which is the event space, the Perk report found that it's also a competitive landscape, but niche markets and adaptable multi-use facilities that accommodate a variety of uses could be supported. So their final recommendation to the steering committee was know what type of facility you want to be and focus on that. Do not try to be everything. And we will have heard that a lot over this last summer. So moving now to number 3 on that first graphic, the site and building concept planning. Things really got going this summer with our architects, ARC. And we met with them 3 times from June to October. And you might remember this graphic. We shared this with you in June. And this is it's a great way to basically say we have lots of wants and we have limited money. And so the process we've gone through is, okay, what can be supportable by the market analysis, what can be supportable by the the PFD charter and what could be supportable by the community. And so at our July 15th meeting, these were 3 options that were presented by ARC Architects. And what they showed essentially on the site, which has its constraints itself, it's a 6-acre site, that there basically could be 2 fields with no building, or 1 field with a building, pool, plaza, parking, and basically the field is a north orientation or a southern orientation on the site. The building itself, the event center, could be small, medium, or large. And so that was what was presented to in July as potential options for the site. Here are the cost estimates that were presented to the steering committee. So we had 2 field options from $8 million to the large building that had an event space for 450 people, an NBA-sized gym, an indoor pool, an outdoor pool, 1 full-sized field, a 2-story building with a plaza, an urban plaza, playground, parking. It's tight fit on site, but we could probably do it at $58 million. And then we had a small and a medium in intervening. So again, the presentation by ARC was small, medium, large building. Various programming could happen in each one of those. And so they went over the site constraints of our Perk site. And as you know, it's the city owns this site. So it's 6 acres, it's rectangular shape, would only fits 2 fields with no building, or 1 field with a building and outdoor features. And there was going to be adequate parking was going to be challenging no matter what size of building we went. And then again, the cost considerations from 8 to 58 million with small, medium, or large buildings. So here are some of the input we received from our steering committee. Certainly, and not unexpected, the large building and the price tag is too big for Paulsbo. The event space we talked a bit about, and it was a good conversation because we wanted to make sure we sized this correctly. And the event space needs to be big enough to accommodate a large group like the Chamber of Commerce Gala or performing arts, but dividable into smaller rentable rooms. And that was really important to be able to have maximum flexibility in the event space. And the event space is what's supported by KPFD funding. So the steering committee talked about the merits of an indoor pool versus an outdoor pool. Again, this would be the community side of the project. And then there was a point in the conversation that they talked about the fields, and the fields for 1 field and a building, it just took a lot of real estate on this limited site size. And 2 fields, it's not clear that even 2 fields on there would support the tournaments based on the Perk market analysis. So fields could be considered a future phase if additional property could be acquired. Then there was conversation about an indoor gym, whether which would really serve as a community recreation gym. Do we need one? And the consensus of the steering committee was, let's scale down the project and do a few things well, rather than trying to do several different things. And the final sentiment was, can the Perk combine the need to generate revenue with the community, as a community gathering space? That really would be the ideal combination that we're looking for in the Perk. So this flow chart really shows just graphically the process that the steering committee and the Perk team went through. Starting at the top, we have our community input that we received last fall. And of course, we have our KPFD requirements of a revenue generating economic development component. We talked through those with our steering committee meetings 1 and 2, which were earlier this year and beginning of 2021. We have our market analysis, the drafting components, also informing our site constraints and our cost constraints. We had a steering committee meeting number 3, which then informed our market analysis final report, which again we released in July. And that all of that together really coalesced into the ARC, to the ARC and the Perk team program focus and refinement, which we presented to the Perk Community Steering Committee on September 9th. I know there's a lot of text on this, so I apologize for that. But what really I wanted to highlight is just the thought process that went into what I'll be presenting you next, which is the Perk site and building design priorities. So again, the first bullet is what we heard from the market analysis, as well as our steering committee multiple times. Can't be all things to all people. Determine what the Perk is and focus on that and be great at that. Consider the market analysis conclusions related to aquatic fields and the aquatic facilities, the pool, and the number of fields that are necessary to be financially feasible for tournaments. And then what we heard from the steering committee is, could outdoor recreation be enhanced by eliminating formal tournament field uses? And then really focus on the building as a multi-event use event space. Ensure the building supports economic development, but can the outdoor space feel like a community gathering area? Of course, the cost needs to be reflective of the city of Paulsbo and affordable to the community. And if a pool is to be included, it needs to be family friendly, unique, and serve as a destination. And a consideration of whether fitness in the gym and the Parks and Recreation offices could be located at other facilities in the city, and therefore the building could focus solely on an event space. So this is what we presented to the Community Steering Committee on September 9th. This is the site plan. And I don't know if my cursor shows up for you. So starting at number 36 at the kind of the north end, we have parking. We have an event center, which I'll talk about here in a little bit. We have located the building, or the architects have located the building to maximize the views and to overlook the site activities. It distributes the vehicular access and parking. So we have parking at the south end, which shows 12, that's on-street parking, parallel north-south orientation, and then at 40, at the number 40, 14 at the northeast corner, and then again 36 at the north top, which is right north of 36 is the Olympic College campus. The architects and the landscape, we have a landscape architect working on this project. He located the site activities to take advantage of the natural grade of the site. So the building sits at a higher elevation, and it slowly slopes down towards the sports courts at the bottom. And the key, the focus, the directive for all of this was look at shared use facilities as much as possible. So just walking through the site plan for you, we have a event center with 2-story. The top story, second story, has the views out over of the site as well as to Mount Rainier in Liberty Bay. That is the event center. That's the main event space that can host an event up to 300 people. It has a commercial kitchen. It has a green room and a dressing room. It has administrative offices and a large lobby that has stairs going down to the lower level, where we have more spaces that can have smaller classrooms, can have recreational programming, as well as perhaps any supporting Olympic College and Western Washington University that literally is a walk away from their campus. The outdoor features that are shown on the pictures here show a concessions, which is on the lower level, which would be affiliated to an outdoor pool. We would also have a plaza, would have a water feature similar to the water features at the Harbor View building down at downtown Bremerton. There would be a trail, a walking path that goes around the Great Green, which is the center piece of the outdoor recreation. If an outdoor pool remains a feature of it, it would be a more resort pool in character than a lap pool. It would have a large lounge area, family pool spray features, and be more of a destination pool than a exercise pool. Looking at the southern features here, we'll have a small event, a courtyard area where a small wedding could take place outside. We'll also have it graded to have a slope down to a covered amphitheater where outdoor music events, concerts, plays, any type of activity like that can be held outside in a covered space. A playground adjacent to the pool that again is northwest themed playground, so a little bit different than what you would see in some of our playgrounds here in Paulsbo, very different. And then finally at the bottom, we have designed 6 sports courts, which are pickleball, and also, four pickleball, 2 tennis courts, and a outdoor basketball court. And all of this will be designed to have versatile materials so that other outdoor events can be held on the sports courts, like a farmer's market, car shows, any type of artist show that we want to be outside. We'd be able to do that on that the court component of the site plan and not use parking for that, as well as the green area as well. And then when the event center is not engaged, then all the outdoor areas still remain open for the community use. So here is the first building perspective that we, the ARC architects, put together. It shows, again, just walking through what I already talked about, is the two-story building. The second story has a glass of wall feature to, again, excite and engage with the view of the site design, as well as the views from that site to, southward to Liberty Bay and Mount Rainier. The kind of wing on the side by the pool, that would be the pool component of it. And so there would be outdoor or separate dressing rooms, lifeguard room, staff room, and administration for the pool over there. So if the pool did not move forward, then that wing there that's associated with the pool would not move forward as well. So this is the backside of it. This shows you the stairway from the parking to go into the entry. And this shows like more of a 1.5 story building. So taking advantage of the grades on the site. There's a large outdoor deck that comes off the main event room. And that's been something that you probably saw from the very beginning of our proposal, that we would like to have a fantastic outdoor space, take advantage of the full width of the building. We also had some challenges figuring out the circulation on the site. And so the little roundabout that you see there kind of solved some of those. That came up, that was an idea by our landscape architect. And it allows people an easy drop off to events or to the pool or to the park, the play area, but also easy to turn around. And it will have a great relationship right there with the plaza. But then we also have, like that first site plan I showed you, we have parking there along the site as well as north of the building. And just one more thing, every space of the building, so the large event space can be divided into three smaller spaces. And then the second floor has 4 separate spaces. So in the end, this building would be able to host a variety of events, meetings, any weddings, banquets. The Chamber of Commerce has a number of events that they do. They gave us a lot of information about what type of things they would be looking for. It really could just about meet every need here, including small spaces. The green room would be designed not necessarily purely as a green room, but could be a meeting space, could have a large conference table in there that could be also convertible into a green room during performances. Sorry. So the cost for this this option with the event building and a developed site, where the cost would be $14 million. And that again is an event space for 350 people, with no pool, our open green plaza with spray clad playground, our sports courts, and 125 parking spaces. And with the pool, it would be $24 million. And that would be the outdoor pool component with that wing of the building that we talked about. Oops. So this text-rich slide is our comments from the steering committee at the September 9th meeting. Everything from looks inspirational to having concern that there's no fields and no indoor recreation programmed into this building, to a lot of comments about that. It seems like a reasonable compromise given the results of the market study and the community desires. The outdoor pool resort concept was well received as far as a pool goes. They noted that there's nothing like that around, so that definitely could serve as a destination. It appeals to all ages. They felt that there was strong revenue potential. And this was one of our goals. It was very important that multi-use and flexibility be laid out in just about every element. Again, it's a good approach. Can't be all things to all people. They liked that it was community oriented, meaning the outdoor recreation piece of it could be serving the Paulsbo and North Kitsap citizens, but the event center meets the KPFD requirements. And to our delight, both Western Washington University and Olympic College representatives, and when I say representatives, I mean like board president and trustees of the board, college president, trustees of the board, and provost were part of the meeting, and they were very excited about what we were proposing and how they could utilize this building and how they could support their campus and their growth plans. So we gave them another week to think about it, think about their comments if they had anything else they wanted to provide to us. We also presented basically what we just presented to you to the Paulsbo City Council the following week on September 15th. We have our steering committee, our next community steering committee is November 9th, and ARC will be presenting building elevations. So taking those 3D perspectives and adding materials and color to it so they could really visualize what the building would look like. And then once we get the thumbs up buy-out from the community steering committee, we will take all of this to the community and check in with them. So moving to number 4 on that graphic of where we are in our feasibility study, once we have a final concept, we will be now moving into our draft management plan. And this management plan is the tool to understand the operations of the Perk, including the costs and how it can generate revenue. And for those of you who are familiar with management plans, this will be a conceptual one or not conceptual, a draft one, and it will certainly be updated if the Perk moves forward to development and operations. And then once built and underway, the management plan transitions to an operations plan. That will be updated annually by the city and will be used by city staff to manage the building. The management plan is going to include revenue projections and an economic uplift analysis. Both of those are going to be prepared by Perk Consulting. And there will also be a preliminary marketing plan, a fee structure, and the operational analysis and cost estimate. We have not started working on that. We have started thinking about working on that. So we're getting close. And then finally, where the rubber meets the road and whether this is a feasible project or not comes at the end of number 5, which is the financial analysis. ARC architects do have a professional cost estimator on their team, so they will be giving, we'll be getting those cost estimates here in the next 2 weeks. That will give us a good idea of the construction costs for the whole facility. And then the financial analysis looks into account the operations and revenue estimation. Then we identify the funding sources. Obviously, KPFD is one potential funding source. The city will be looking at multiple other funding sources. And then the final piece will be a financial feasibility analysis and the findings, whether the Perk is a feasible project. So here's the graphic again, just showing you where we're at. We're at number 3. We're almost done with number 3. Next time we come to see you in a couple months, probably in either January or February, we'll be talking to you about 4 and 5. Now, what is really exciting that we like to share with you, and I had to go through all that so that you could understand that what we're excited about is through our feasibility analysis, we learned that we could not site 2 fields on the Perk site and have an event space and have all the other things that the community also wanted in a park. And so we are actively looking to purchase 9 acres, which is immediately adjacent to the Perk site. The city council voted just last week to enter into a letter of interest with the property owner. And we are right now, in fact, I'm working on feasibility just this week. This would be what we call Perk Phase 2, and this site is where we would like to site tournament fields. So the concept, the idea, the vision, the dream to still have tournament soccer fields in Paulsville will hopefully be here on Perk Phase 2 site. And then I'll just speak briefly about the ILA amendment request that we have before you in the next agenda item, but I know we'll talk about it there. But we have 4 requests before the board. One is to shift funds between the different ILA tasks identified in attachment C. This is allowed for by in the ILA. We are requesting to revise attachment C, which is again the funding or the kind of the financial schedule to facilitate bottom line budgeting for each ILA task. And that's at the request of our city finance director for auditing purposes. She's requested that change. You might have noted that I spoke a little bit about 2022, and so therefore we're making a request that we extend the date of completion of the feasibility study. There's 2 main reasons for that. They're outlined in my letter to you, but one is that, as you know, we're taking a community-based approach to our feasibility study. And so working with our community steering committee takes a little bit longer. And 2, we now have this additional land that we would like to consider as we move forward in the development of the feasibility study. And then finally, we have some minor amendments and clarifications in the ILA that were identified both by your legal counsel as well as a couple by me. They're very minor in nature. So with that, that concludes my presentation. I just thank you for your time and your attention and going through my slides. I'm happy to stop sharing screen, but in case you wanted to look at something else, I can keep it up, but I'll leave it to the chair's pleasure of whether you want me to keep my PowerPoint up or close it.
Why don't you keep it up for just right now? And if we could entertain any questions from the board.
Sorry, I couldn't unmute. I don't really have questions. I just wanted to say it's really thorough and very informative, and I appreciate the presentation. It's pretty exciting.
Thank you. All right, Darren, I'll go ahead and close it so y'all can see each other again.
All right, and why don't we move into item 6A, which you had started to, give us information on, Carla, for the Perk ILA revision. So any questions amongst the board or Mike or Brian for the ILA revision?
I have my letter available too, if you'd like me to pull that up to walk through the four amendment requests, if that makes things easier for y'all.
Yeah, I don't have any.
Or Darren.
I don't have any questions, but Brian, we're all okay. You're on board with all this, right?
Brian, you're on mute.
Can you hear me okay now?
There we go.
Yep.
Great. Most of these amendments came forth several months ago, and Mike and I worked with the city. I want to say it was kind of June, July, and August. And on my side, I just came to the conclusion that the request to amend the attachment was similar to what we've seen with both Kitsap County and with Port Orchard, whereas as they've gotten deeper into the process, they've looked at their original scopes of work and said, well, really we should redefine this or reclassify this or reprioritize it, which is, to me, has always been part of their planning process. That whatever those attachments were when the ILAs were signed were really good faith estimates of what their process and tasks and sequences were going to be. And as each one of these partners has gotten into the process, they've realized they want to tweak what they're doing without changing the funding request to the PFD. So that's how I looked at it, and I think Mike looked at it, and I just couldn't find a fault or a reason to second guess how they wanted to reassign tasks or reallocate dollars, because they're the ones doing the work. And again, they weren't changing any risk items. They weren't changing any costs to the PFD items. So I was favorable towards these 2 months ago, and I remain so today. I think the more recent amendment request has to do with just extending the time to get some of these things done. And again, we've looked at that same timing issue with our other partners who've said, either things take longer than we thought, or, we lost a year because of COVID. And with respect to our other partners, we've said, well, yeah, that's reasonable. Again, you control the timing and getting these tasks done. And if we granted additional time to the other partners, I couldn't find any rational reason why we wouldn't want to extend that same courtesy to Paulsbo. So that's my take. I don't know if Mike has anything to add to that.
No, I really don't. I've shared screen showing first the overall summary of how the money would be reallocated, but the total remains the same. And then the second part of their proposal gets into more nitty-gritty details of exactly what would be struck out and what would be added in the various portions of their plan. And then the amendments and the red line, which documents the changes and a couple of minor wording changes. So I don't have any objection to this. I feel it's reasonable, and it's their reallocation of resources in order to get the job done.
Any other questions or comments from the board? All right. Hearing none, could I have a motion to I'm losing my words here, but to approve this ILA revision, I guess is what I'm looking for.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the requested changes to the ILA.
And a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Pat. Thank you, Aaron. And then again, any discussion on that motion? All right. All those in favor of the revision to the Perk ILA, please say aye.
Aye.
And any opposed, nay? All right, the motion carries and we will revise that ILA. Thank you, Carla, for your presentation, and thanks for walking us through the ILA revision, and enjoy the rest of your night.
Thank you so much, board. We'll be bringing the same amendments to our city council next week because they'll need to vote on it as well to make these amendments. But thank you all for your time. Really appreciate it, and have a great rest of your meeting.
All right. As we get close to halftime, I believe, for the Seahawks game, the next two items are a budget preview for 2022 and the review resolution for our meeting schedule for 2022. And so I've asked Mike if these things can just be put on the record for us, any kind of introductory comments that he would like to make. But basically, we will take up these documents and vote on them in our combined November and December meeting. But this gives you that information to start working with.
I don't know if you had resolved with Brian about the changes on the resolution 2 for the
Okay.
CEC funding.
Yes, sorry, I did not see this agenda with 6B, now the SKCEC. Yes, let's cover this. I apologize. I didn't know that that was in this spot. So,
well, the last minute change.
Yep. Basically, what is behind this change is it is the completion of our $1 million for the property acquisition for the city of Port Orchard. And Brian, do you want to speak to the resolution language? Or would you please? You're muted again.
Okay, I think I'm unmuted now. So,
Yeah. So the resolution is up on the screen.
And since we last visited this issue of changing the sequence in the Port Orchard, task list and moving the funding of the property acquisition from task number 7 to task number 3, which we approved. You approved that change, and we established a series of stipulations or deliverables that said the PFD will release the funds when we know, and then there's a series of things. We want to confirm that there's an actual signed purchase and sale agreement, because when Port Orchard came to us, they didn't actually have the document signed. They were working on it. So, matter of faith.
And I have received that.
Okay. Part of the acquisition, a very important part, is to have a right to use the aquatic, what are called the aquatic lands, which are owned by DNR and were leased to Kitsap Bank. And one of our stipulations was, we need confirmation that the DNR lease has been assigned from Kitsap Bank to Port Orchard, and that the assignment has the approval from DNR. So that stipulation was out there. We also wanted that there's a series of conditions for funding from the Department of Commerce and we wanted confirmation that all of those conditions were satisfied. We wanted the city to confirm that they had $300,000 in city funds, which would go towards the purchase. We wanted the establishment of a closing escrow, which is, the common practice in commercial real estate. All the money goes into escrow, and the deed comes in from the other party, and there's an exchange. And then we had a simple proviso that that the PFD would have closing escrow instructions that said, here's the money for this transaction. But if for some odd reason the transaction doesn't close, the PFD funds have to come back to the PFD. So those were the conditions for the release of the funds. During the last week or two, there's been a whole series of communications from the city asking for the funds to be released, and Mike or I saying, well, where's all this stuff? Where's the confirmation, the verification of these things? So that's been an ongoing process up to and including today. So late today, we propose to put together a resolution that says the requirements have been set. Mike, the language here says the requirements for the release of the $1 million will have been satisfied when the DNR signature is secured. So that appears to be the one missing thing.
I have a copy of the agreement, which is signed by the city. That's been provided to the DNR, and we're awaiting that signature. So that is a condition in this resolution.
And Mike, would you also confirm that all of the other conditions have been met, that you have the
yes,
paperwork?
I have the documents, or I have the confirmation that the other conditions have been met. Everything has been met except for the one signature from the DNR. That agreement has been made. It's just a matter of logistics. It's been sent down to them for signature, and that's expected within days.
And so as a way of trying to help this continue to move along, that's where we've come up with the language of, and we'll correct the DONR to DNR.
Correct.
But once we have that last signature from the DNR, that we would authorize tonight then the wiring of that $1 million once that signature has been completed, that we would give our executive director the authorization to do that. Does that give clarity to where we're at?
Yes, and it also states here the information that I received today, which was the wiring instructions. The last steps are not here because that's pertinent to the actual transfer itself. And this is as a result of talking with our county treasury department and the Peter Boiseneau, who is our investment director for the county. And he had given me the instructions needed that we had to have a resolution authorizing this, so that when all of the details were made, and there is a blank down here because we don't know the closing date or expected closing date yet. So that will be added to the document as well. But we do have the wiring instructions. The resolution is required by the county to assure that the PFD is taking the proper steps to assure the proper application of public funds to a purchase agreement.
All right. And so hats off to Mike and to Brian for all of their work on this today. This is where this all came from, much of the work to put this together. But so that we could help facilitate the city's purchase of this property. So are there any questions from the board about the process or the language that's in it?
I don't have any questions.
All right. Then if there are no questions, I'd like to ask for a motion to approve this resolution.
I'll move to approve. I don't know what to call it. Scroll up, Mike, for a sec.
Further.
To the
To the
title.
top of the page.
Looking for the title.
Up to the title.
If we're putting this in the.
Sorry,
There we go.
Okay, I'll move to approve the resolution 02-2021 authorizing the transfer wiring of funds of $1 million to the city of Port Orchard upon the completion of this one last item.
I'll second her motion.
Thank you, Aaron. Thank you, Walt. And now any discussion? I'll just say that I think it's exciting to have this document in front of us and to have this resolution in front of us. We have already seen some of our project at Port Gamble Heritage Park come to fruition or have that work begin. And now to see the property for this event center to come to be a reality in Port Orchard. It's fun to see the gears start working and to see the planning start materializing. So with that, all those in favor of approving this resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Again, thank you, Brian. Thank you, Mike, for your work on this. Mike, can you, okay, there we go. I do not want to go through this in detail, but are there any highlight items that Walt or Mike, you would like to give notice to the board or anything you'd want to say?
no, not particularly. This is an upgrade, if you will, from previous. There are expenses that are going to be larger for construction consulting, our bonding and financing, and so on. And of course, a full-time executive director as opposed to a part-time executive director. Those are the main things that are going to be different. And I've also increased the stipends for the board of directors as we continue to meet on virtual terms. Other than that, no, it's relatively straightforward. It's just a little bigger.
All right.
I'm happy with it, Darren.
Thank you, Walt. And then this is our proposal. Again, we will try and move this meeting around to different physical locations once those governmental or county buildings allow that. And once we think that's once the governor allows that too. But so that's the resolution for the schedule and the dates, and we will finalize that, but want that in your, and Mike, can you just scroll on to that again? Want you to be able to see that and to have any adjustments that you want to make ready for our December meeting, our combined November and December meeting. All right, on to item number 7, monthly reports.
I do not have an income report. The lady that prepares that and makes it available has been on vacation. And so I would have not been able to pull that report off the county. So I do not have a revenue report for this month. When that's finally available, I will send that out to all of the board members. So the next is the financial statements. And again, this is the profit or the budget performance. Total 968 operations expenses for the year, just under $162,000 against our original budget of 177. Per the agreement that was made last month, I have transferred additional funds to the 968 account so that we'll have plenty of money to go through the end of the year. These are the 286, 968, and 977 funds. And again, if you get down to the bottom, we're down at the point where our current ending balance in the 977 account is up as high as $4 million. So we've got plenty to cover an expense of $1 million if that's actual closing occurs before the end of the year. And I think that's what the city of Port Orchard is planning on. So we've got that covered. And this is a summary of the operations. There's nothing exceptional in this point. Hang on just a minute. This is where in the center section is where the expenditures for the Perk and the Heritage Park and all these occur in the center section. And I don't have the total chart listed in these documents, but I can send that out to you, to all of you after the meeting. I knew we were pressed for time.
All right. Thank you, Mike. I see that we got the blanket voucher for the KPFD expenses totaling $10,091.36. Could I have a motion to approve the payment of this blanket voucher?
I'll move.
Thank you, Phil. Thank you, Aaron. Is there any discussion? All right, then all those in favor of approving this blanket voucher, say aye.
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 Any opposed, nay? And the motion is approved. For the project vouchers.
Just a note before we move on, you'll see the Visit Kitsap Rent and Visit Kitsap Marketing Services on here for the first time. This is as a result of the changeover to the new financial accounting system. They can't do a recurring expense approval from the beginning like we have done. So this will now appear on all of the expense vouchers for the rest of the year.
All right. Moving on to our different project vouchers. The first one is from the Perk for $6,450. Can I have a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve.
And then a second.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Aaron. Thank you, Walt. Any discussion? All right. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. Blanket voucher for the Perk is approved. Our second one is for the Port Orchard invoice. It is for a total of $86,287.13. Could I have a motion for that?
I'll move approval of the Port Orchard blanket voucher in the amount of $86,287.13.
And a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Pat, and thank you, Walt, for the motion. Any discussion? All right. Then all those in favor of approving this voucher, say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. Project voucher is approved for the Port Orchard Event Center. And finally, the Port Gamble Heritage Park voucher for $142,237.84. Can I have a motion?
I'll move to approve.
Thank you, Aaron. And a second?
Second.
Thank you, Walt. And so any discussion?
I just wanted to comment that I'd been looking for invoices from the county, and we discovered a technical problem where their emails were bouncing back. They were deemed undeliverable. And we figured out that the files were too large. There was so much documentation. So we got that resolved and finally got a 6 or 8 months worth of invoices that cleared for this total.
Right. Thank you for that understanding, Mike. Any other discussion? All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed, nay. Blanket voucher for project voucher for our Port Gamble Heritage Park approved.
There were no vouchers or invoices rather from the Port of Bremerton for approval this month. So that's why you don't have one up here.
Okay. Thank you. Going on to item number 8, ongoing business, our ED report and our regional facilities reports. I will direct you to read them at your leisure. Thank you for those reports, Mike and other regional partners. And that brings us to the end of our meeting. Is there any other business before we close our meeting? Did I miss anything else on the agenda, Mike?
No, you didn't miss anything else on the agenda. This is
Well, then I'd like to say thank you to Mike Walton for 12 years of serving the Kitsap Public Facilities District. Mike, we appreciate your work and for all the different projects you helped to accomplish and how you served our citizens here in Kitsap County. And so on behalf of the board, thank you.
You're very welcome. It's been a pleasure.
I think you,
pardon?
Mike, I think you should imagine a standing ovation.
Yeah, here we go. Thank you, Mike.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it's been a wonderful experience in guiding the PFD to the point where they can undertake new projects. That was the greatest frustration when I joined the organization and found that there was nothing new that I could do. I could only improve on the existing facilities. So that was my desire, was to change the rules under which we were operating so that we could undertake new projects and bring new facilities to Kitsap County. And I think you guys have a wonderful experience ahead of you. And in the next 4 or 5 years, I hope I live long enough to see all of them come to fruition. So to you and your future, and to Russ and his guidance. I know Russ. I know he'll do a good job.
All right. Well, with that, I will call this meeting adjourned. Thank you very much.